The first time Kaldar of the Draxian Apex Pride saw a human, an actual, living Terran, he didn't understand why every species feared them. He expected a towering brute, a creature sculpted from war and chaos. Instead, what walked into the Galactic Academy's Great Hall was small. Not weak exactly, just small. Compact frame, soft-looking skin, short dark hair. No claws, no fangs, no armored hide, no venom sacs, no bone spikes. Nothing about the human screamed, Galactic Apex Predator, let alone a species whose mere name made empires reconsider their military doctrines. Yet here he was. Elias Reed, Terran Exchange Cadet. Some students laughed outright. Others whispered. Kaldar only watched. As the largest and eldest cub of the Draxian Apex Pride, standing nearly 8 feet tall, muscles braided like steel cables under midnight fur, Kaldar was expected to sneer along with the others. But something held him back. It wasn't pity. It was curiosity. Why did this tiny creature walk with such calmness while surrounded by predators? Why did he meet their eyes without flinching? Why did he seem amused? He carried himself like someone who knew something others did not. Something important. Kaldar remembered the ancient proverb of his people. Fear the small hunter who walks unarmored. At the time, he did not yet understand how true that wisdom was. But he would.
Soon.
Beginning. The small Terran and the Predator. The first incident occurred during combat cohort training. Draxians were naturally dominant in physical exercises. Their bodies were built for combat. Powerful legs, dense musculature, razor claws, and a predatory instinct honed from millions of years of evolution. Humans? Supposedly dangerous. Rumors. Stories. Whispers. Nothing that seemed real. Instructor Veller threw the pairings up on the hollow board. Combat pairing. Kaldar versus Elias Reed. The entire class erupted into laughter. Try not to step on him, Kale. Watch out, Terran. Kale only eats 2 meals before training. Will the human even survive a tap? Elias simply shrugged and cracked his neck. Kaldar stepped onto the platform, looming over the human. He wanted to go easy, but Draxians didn't know how to go easy, even holding back wrist-cracking bones. Elias raised his fists in a loose stance Kaldar had never seen. Ready, the instructor barked. Elias smiled. Born ready. The bell chimed. Kaldar moved. A blur of fur and muscle lunged forward, claws extended in a non-lethal pattern. Elias stepped aside. That was all. Just a single step. Kaldar flew past him and nearly crashed into the barrier. The class howled with laughter. Kaldar growled, cheeks burning. He attacked again. Faster, harder. Elias ducked. He attacked a 3rd time. Elias pivoted. He struck out, but the human flowed around the blow like water bending around stone. No punches thrown back. Just movements, precise and impossible to read. For the first time in his life, Kaldar felt something he'd never known in combat training. Uncertainty. The human wasn't stronger. Not faster. Not heavier. Not even armored. But Elias moved like someone who had spent years practicing how not to be killed. It felt like every Draxian instinct, every predatory swipe, every grapple, every pattern he'd relied upon since childhood, was being read like a children's book. Finally, Kaldar roared and swiped with enough force to dent steel. Elias stepped inside the blow, hooked a foot behind Kaldar's ankle, pressed a palm against his hip, and
wham!
The 8-foot apex predator hit the mat flat on his back. The class went silent. Elias stood over him, breath steady. You okay? He asked. Kaldar blinked. You threw me. The human offered a hand. Humans call it jujitsu. Kaeldar accepted the hand, not because he needed it, because respect demanded it. And something inside him whispered, "This small Terran is dangerous." Middle, the bond, the threat, and the secret. After that day, things shifted. Not between Kaeldar and Elias. Everyone else. Some cadets sought Elias out, wanting to learn his techniques. Others avoided him. A few resented him for humiliating a Draxian, the Academy's top predator species. Kaeldar, however, began sitting with Elias during meals. They traded stories. Kaeldar spoke of the hunt rights of the Pride, of stalking thunder-hooved herds across the volcanic plains, of proving dominance by wrestling magma bears. Elias spoke of Earth, of deserts and oceans, of Brazilian fighters who could choke out men twice their size, of marathon runners who outran horses, of mothers who lifted cars to save their children, of scientists who bent the laws of physics. Kaeldar listened, fascinated. Humans weren't apex predators because of claws, fangs, or venom. They were apex predators because nature had made them ridiculously, absurdly, catastrophically adaptable. Survivors, even when survival made no sense. One evening, as they left the training hall, Kaeldar finally asked the question everyone whispered. "Elias, why are humans feared?" Elias's smile faded. He looked around, voice lowering. "Because the galaxy thinks we're unpredictable. And they're right, but not for the reasons they assume." Then what is the truth? We're not the strongest or the fastest or the deadliest. We're the species that refuses to die. No matter the odds. No matter the enemy. You can push us, break us, burn our homes, take everything, and we'll still get back up. Humans don't stop. Kaeldar's tail curled slowly. "And if someone tries to stop your people?" Elias's eyes darkened. "Then God help them." Kaeldar felt a chill despite his thick fur. The threat revealed. 1 week later, trouble arrived in the form of the Krivak coalition, a species notorious for hunting smaller races for sport. A group of Krivak cadets cornered Elias in the engine bay after class. Kaeldar had caught the scent and arrived seconds later, slipping silently into the shadows above.
He watched,
Listened, waited. "You Terrans think you're special," hissed the Krivak leader, curling his segmented mandibles. "But without your war machines, you're prey." Elias stayed calm. "I'm just trying to get back to my dorm." "Not until you kneel," another Krivak snarled. "Terrans act like apex predators. Today, you learn your place." Elias sighed. "You really don't want to do this." The Krivak lunged. Elias moved. It was not like the spar with Kaeldar, controlled, restrained, almost gentle.
"No."
This was survival. Elias slid under the strike, grabbed a mandible, twisted, and slammed the Krivak into the wall. Another came from behind. Elias heel-kicked backward, sending him to the floor. A third charged. Elias grabbed a tool cart, rolled it forward, and tripped the attacker over it. Kaeldar dropped from the rafters with a thunderous roar. 3 Krivak froze. One wet himself. "You threaten my friend," Kaeldar snarled. "Prepare to." Elias put a hand on his arm.
"Kale."
"Don't. They attacked you. And I handled it. You could have died." Elias raised an eyebrow. "You think so?" Kaeldar opened his mouth, closed it, and understood. He wasn't there to save Elias. Elias had allowed them to get that far, because he wanted to give them a chance to stop. They hadn't taken it. Kaeldar's fur bristled with something he'd never felt before.
"Pride."
"You truly are an apex predator," he murmured. Elias shrugged. "Humans are just complicated." The Krivak scrambled away, dragging injured comrades. Kaeldar turned to Elias. "You said humans are feared, because you refuse to die. But that is not all. You fight not to dominate, not to conquer. You fight to protect. Elias looked surprised. You got all that from one fight? From knowing you. Elias smiled. Kaeldar tapped his chest in the Draxian gesture of kinship. Then hear this. From today onward, you are no longer merely a friend. I claim you as Pridekin. Elias blinked. Isn't that a big deal? For Draxians? It is everything. And you're sure? Humans stand beside those they care for. Draxians do the same. Our instincts align. Elias's grin widened. Then I'm honored. Kaeldar bowed. The Academy would never be the same. Ending the crisis and the legend of the small Terran. The true test of their bond and of humanity's reputation came faster than anyone expected. During a field expedition on the uncharted moon of Karos, 8, an unknown megafauna species attacked the cadet transport ship. The vessel crashed into a swamp, splitting open like a tin can. Panic erupted.
Cadets scattered.
Instructors lay unconscious. And emerging through the smoke came the creature, a towering serpent beast with armored scales and a maw large enough to swallow a student whole. The cadets froze. Except 2. Kaeldar, who let out a battle roar that shook the trees. And Elias, who grabbed a medical kit, 3 flares, a coil of cable, and sprinted straight toward danger. Elias. Kaeldar roared. What are you doing? What humans always do, he yelled back. Improvising. The beast lunged at a trapped student. Kaeldar intercepted it with a 2-ton tackle, smashing it sideways. But its armor plates were thick. Even Draxian claws barely scratched it. Elias sprinted around its flank, scaling a tree while the beast wrestled Kaeldar. He leapt off the branch, landing on the creature's neck, jamming 2 flares under its scale plates and igniting them. The beast shrieked as intense heat tore through its nerves. It reared, and Elias held on like a demon from some ancient Terran myth. Kaeldar seized the moment, driving his claws deep into the softer tissue beneath its jaw. The beast convulsed, crashed into the swamp, and went still. Silence. Then, is it dead? Elias panted. Kaeldar stared at him, then laughed, a booming, rumbling sound filled with awe and affection. You fought an armored titan with nothing but fire and rope. Elias wiped mud off his face. What was I supposed to do? Let it eat us. That, Kaeldar said, tapping Elias's forehead gently with his claw, is why humans are feared. He raised his voice to the surviving cadets. Bear witness. This Terran, small in form, soft in flesh, fought beside me against a nightmare of Karos. 8. He did not hesitate. He did not flee. He acted not for glory, but to protect. The cadets watched Elias with new eyes. Not with amusement, not with scorn, with respect. Kaeldar placed a massive, clawed hand on Elias's shoulder. Let the galaxy know this truth. The Draxian Apex Pride recognizes Elias Reed as kin. Elias stared. Kin alike family? Family. Blood or bond, it matters not. You are ours. Elias swallowed hard. Kael, thank you. You earned it. Epilogue. The legend spreads. News traveled fast in the Galactic Academy. Faster than the ship repair teams. Faster than the investigation committees. Faster even than gossip traveled in a room full of bored cadets. Soon, everywhere Elias went, whispers followed. That's the Terran who fought a Karos beast. That's the human the Draxian Apex Pride adopted. Small, but unstoppable. He fought like he had nothing to lose. No, he fought like he refused to let others lose. And whenever anyone asked Kaeldar why a Draxian would claim such a tiny, unassuming creature as kin, his answer never changed. He is Terran. Size does not define him. Fear does not bind him. And strength does not limit him. He is human, and that makes him dangerous in all the best ways. Elias would laugh whenever he heard that. Not because it was wrong, but because it was true. And because he knew something the galaxy was only beginning to understand. Humans weren't apex predators because they dominated others. Humans were apex predators because they protected their own.
And now,
Elias Reed, the small Terran, had an entire apex predator species standing proudly beside him. The galaxy would never laugh at him again.